Mesachta bava basra. Daf samach gimel amud aleph. We're starting from Samach Beis Amud Beis. Rama Rabba. Zakti Yimada Vayoma Rabba. Rabba said, Reuven that sold a field to Shimon, and he sold him a part of his field. He didn't say how much he's selling, how much he's retaining for himself. Meitza Ara the Mina Palga. He says, of the boundary, he gives the boundary of his field. He says, look, the one on Safin belongs to Reuven, the one on Darim belongs to Shimon, the one on the field on Maidev belongs to Levi. One second, and him, where does he own? He owns on the Mizrach side, on the east.
He said he was in a Chabad house.
Yeah. So he says over here that he said about his field, which is on the Mizrach Palga. Palga means the Meitzah, the boundary of my field, which I'm selling. He says he retained for himself. Of course, he says I'm selling half. So Palga, the lekech is kind of half. What's if he said, he didn't use the word Palga, he said Meitza Ara the Minopsika. He says the boundary of my field that I'm selling is the sada that I'm selling is the part that I'm cutting off of my field to you. Cutting off.
So it's not that he's not giving the
So
whole
cutting
half.
of it, so it's even less than
You
half.
give him a
When you're
quarter,
saying
you
cutting
give him-
half,
you give him a quarter.
you're cutting off a piece for somebody else to sell.
Could be
It means the minimum. So the minimum has to be that you could seed of 9 kavim of seeds in it. That's the minimum that that's what he sold it. I'm like, what's the difference if he used the word palga or pascha? Maybe it means the same thing. It means half.
Well, how could it mean the same?
Why not? Cut off is half.
I say give you half, or I give you a piece.
It's the lishenus of half. Pascha we find as a lashon as half as well. He says, why should it be any different? So he says like this. Ishtik, Rabba was quiet. He didn't answer to Abaya. Okay?
Again,
It was quiet. So, Sabmina, Idi Palga. The Bnei Yeshiva thought that the kavanah of Abaya was that in both cases, the Lekeach is koina half the sada, whether he used the lashon Palga or whether he used the lashon,
Who's Ishtik?
or whether he used the lashon Pascha. Rabba was quiet because Ve'amar Rabba said, if he said, also gewinnt seine Talmidim und eichet seine Chaverim. So Rabba, Abai is given the Talmud von der Rabba. No, Abai is given the Talmud von Rabba. Früher hat man geredet nicht wegen Rabba, man hat geredet wegen, andere Chachamim. I don't remember exactly who it was, but it was Rav. It was Rav. And Ravasi. So then the Ravasi was a Talmud and also a Chavet. But here we're talking about Rabba and Abai. Abai was a Talmud of Rabba. So the Abai said to Rabba, okay, Ishtik, Rabba kept quiet. So some Minay, Palga. So they thought both L'shenas mean Taka half. So it's not so. The Omer Rav Yema bar Shlemya, Rav Yema bar Shlemya had said, it was explained to me, Abai himself, meaning he had explained to me, Bain makes out of the Mino Palga, whether he used the lashon of my property that I own on the Mizrach side, which half I'm selling, or Bain makes out of the Mino Psika, or whether he used the lashon of my Ara, I'm cutting off a piece to sell. He says it doesn't make a difference. It means the same thing. If he used extra words, before, he gave the exact dimension where his field is. He mapped out his field. He says, Tzafin is Reuven, Darim is Shimon, Maidev is Levi, Ich bin a Mizrach. He already said it. But before he said it, he gave a Hagdama. Eila Mitzrayim. That's extra words. So he said, if he said that these extra words, Palga, so we say, since he said extra words, he wants to give more koyach, more koyach for the lekeach. He says, the Rashbam says, Mekiv and Shetzim befesh b'shnaz kol mitzari asada. Since he already demarked all the fields, his field included, I'm reading the Rashbam. The Rashbam says there's no need for him to write ve'ela mitzari asada. He didn't have to write ve'ela mitzari asada. So miyit lashon zu, from this extra lashon, nit lahamish shekavanase liyapis es koiche shalaloikeach sheyikna chatz me'asada. He wants to be meyapis koich, that he shouldn't just be kind a little piece, half. But but if he didn't use the lashon, the extra words, then tisha kabim. Then we say he only meant to give him tisha kabim.
So
So-
what's the difference which lashon he uses? So the Gemara
Doesn't make a
answers-
difference.
Because you had
Doesn't
the
make
extra
a
word.
Difference.
General.
And the differentiation
What
is
is the
only
name of
depending
the
on if he added the words ilam mitzvah noha,
The
with
extra word.
the extra words. And he says, if he didn't use the lashon, we don't know if he wants to be so gracious or not. So what do we see? Yes, Shafik. We're not sure if he really wanted to sell him, buying you off half a field or just minimum. Aklal hu, like we had before, yad bal hashtar ala tachteina. What?
The Balashtar
Is the
buyer.
lekeach? Is lekeach, the buyer? So he has the he's the balashtar. He's ala tachteina. And since we're misupik what it means, so we give him the minimum amount, which is tisha kabim, where you could a piece of karka in which you could plant 9 kabim seeds. That's all you have to give it. As I state in the smeh, I bring that up in the
Is that
smeh.
really what he means when he sold them?
But really, that's what. Yeah, you don't know what he means. And he says he brings down from the Rashbam. There's not going to be. I'm reading right from the Rashbam. There's no difference between the lashon palga and psika. At times, either lashon can mean half the sada. In kasam ishta lashon yuteres ve'elim mitzari asada. If he wrote the lashon yuteres before saying all the mitzarim, he gives hagdom of ve'elim mitzari asada. That's leyapis as koyach shalal koyach. V'yam madin shalei kana lashat charei leziyah tishikabim in both lashenes. Im loy kas b'shtar lashon zu. If he didn't write this lashon of elim mitzara asada, or you lose the
What's the lashon he said?
elain mitzra naha. These are the boundaries, and then he goes through the boundaries. It's extra words. So you might have sheet. So both cases, it's, whether it's he uses the lashon palga or piska, it's going to mean just a shetach where you could plant tisha kabim seeds.
Okay,
Okay.
has to write in the shop for selling something. I have to write, these are the boundaries.
If he writes that and it's extra words, it is extra words, then we know he wants to be meyape. He wants to give the koyach of the koyach a bigger amount. He wants to give him a stronger
If
koyach.
you say the boundaries,
Then it means the minimum. Because yad bal hashtar. Okay, let's go. Pshita. In fact, you want this din is pashit that a shchib merah. If Omar he said yachlik play min nechasa, that I give a chelek for my nechasim. So if he said yachlik, if yachlik over here means divide plainly to that person in nechasai of my nechasim. So that plainly is palga takes chatzim nechasim. Takes half of his nechasim.
he said less than
Because he said yachlik. He said, but finish
for
yachlik.
me and for you, right?
He said, mine is mine, but I'm yachlik. Divide my property and give it to Pliny.
He says you get
You that Pliny should get half of my field. What's if he didn't use the word yachlik? He said, no chelik lepliny b'nechasim. He says, give a psach chelik for mine nechasim. My, what's the din? A chelik can mean chalukah, how? Or a chelik mean a little bit. Give up a kol shul. Ashmek taba kemen gemen echad is a chelik.
He says the divided is one thing.
He said, give a chelik. Give a chelik. A chelik can mean in lashon chalukah. Don't jump. He says, "Am ima mila chelik im lashon chalukah." Is the Rashbam says, which means half, right? And mikein arei ukeim sheyachlik ois plain in the chasei. Oy, ula yesh lefarish hakavanos hanleis leis sheyit chelik haroyelis alasis. Just the minimum that's called a matana. Sagt die Gemara, Avino, Barab Kisi, Tashma, coming here and I'll answer you. The Tanya we learned in the Braisa, he says, give a part of my water that I have in this pit to this person, Leplani. He says, he can't give him less than a Raviyah. Why? Because Sumchis holds, so we don't know what he meant. Give up Sachelik from the Vasa, right? Chelik, let's say the most it could be, if chelik means chalukah, so how much could he give him? Only half the bear. Chalukah, he's only giving him half the water of the bear. Now, chelik can mean also shmek tabak. It can mean kol shul. Obis is Maman Amut B'Safik, Chelkin. So we give
Yeah,
him
half a bit.
a half of the half. The most he could have gotten, he used the word chelik. Chelik means chalukah. The most the chelik can mean is half the bayr. But chelik can mean much less.
Right.
So you say, Maman Amut B'Safik, Chelkin.
How much
So,
is
so half of the half, a revia, it means a quarter. Zog Yimara, others say, the Ritva gives a different finish. The Ritva says, minimum he had to give him, when he says a matana, he has to give him at least half of, he has to give him, it has to be episode Dava Mamashis. No, it has to be a Dava Mamashis. After the Dava Mamashis, that's for sure he gave him, then you give him also, then you're chokin. Then you're chokin in the half. So it's like a half with a little bit more. Okay. So Gimara Lechavis. What's if he told him, listen, give enough, give a chelik of my water for a chavis. A chavis can only fill up, a chavis, one chavis is a half a bay. But he told him only a chelik of the chavis. Chelik of the chavis would mean half. So half of half is a quarter of the bay. Right? 1 second. So the most he could have meant was a quarter of a bay. 1 minute. Or so it's either a quarter. If you say chelik, a chavis is a half a bay, right? He told me he's giving a half a chavis. Chelik chalukah from a chavis, right? So half a bay, the most it could have been was a reva of the bay, because that's the most he could have. He could have with his word chelik mechal chavis could have been only a quarter. Now, but it could also mean nothing. So since it's maman amut b'safik, so you divide the quarter in half, which is shminis. Ain't pachas mishminis. Okay, Dr. Ligdeda. He says, you know, give a chelik ligdeda.
Is bigger or smaller?
Smaller. So he says ligdeda. Ain't no. So kededa. How much the share mine that's used for kededa is a third. Is a third. Is a third. How much is a third? 2/6. 2/6. Yeah, 2/6 is a third, right? 2/6 is a third. So the most it could have been is 2/6. But he But he said 2/6 of the bay, a third of a bay. Yeah, but half of that, half of a third is 1/6. So that's the most he could have gotten is 1/6, right? But he doesn't. But he does. It's a suffix. If he meant a sixth or he meant nothing. Maman amot b'safik chelkin. So you divide a six. Ein pas mishteimas. It means a 12. That's how it's going to be. Let's say vayt litviach. He says, I'm giving you a chelik to be able to drink in a kli cotton with a pitcher of water.
There was no water though.
The share, okay, the share of water.
This size.
So he says the share of water was a quarter of the me'abayir, not a third. It's even less, a quarter. So a quarter is 2/8, right? So when he said a quarter to 8, he meant to give him 1/8 because he's a chelik for the pitcher. A half of the pitcher is 1/8. So, but we're not sure 1/8. So that's the most he could have got, or he could have got nothing. So you have to divide the 1/8. How do you divide it? Ein pas mishishas. It's 1/16. Okay. Zog the Yimara Tana Abarim I'm gonna what? No good?
No, I'm saying all this.
It's not so high. Okay.
It's not a question hard that
Yeah.
you're teaching this to kids. You know how to divide up.
Okay.
They don't know what that is.
Okay. Tana Abarim I'm gonna Ben Levi Shemachas Yisrael. A Ben Levi that sold a field to a Jew. The Amalei, and he says this field is sold to you almanas on the condition that means the potatoes that will grow in this field and I'm selling you the field, but whenever you have to give my sedation, it's me. I'm the Levi guy that you give the my sedation. That's the condition of the sale.
He was a Levi.
So the my sedation shalai.
The
The
Mecha was a Levi.
Mecha was a Levi, but and we said any fruits that will grow.
My sedition goes to Levi.
I says Adava Shaloi Bala. The potatoes are noch nicht da. They didn't yet grow out that he should have to be chayav my sedation. So the Gemara will explain that he's makna the field, that piece of field of what my sedation, the shear of my sedation. That's what he was makna, the field for that. The field for that. He says, even though he didn't say that. He said it's Maiserishin, but Maiserishin is superfluous. It's extra words. So the extra words has to come to tell you that we're being meyapib. His koyach, the seller, is not saying extra words for nothing. He's saying the extra words to retain for himself the land in which the payers will grow in the future. So he says like this: if he said in my lifetime, ulevanai, and also when he passes away, so the Ma'aserishin should go to his children. Umeis, and the lady died, yitin lebanov, you have to give it to the child. This is a big chiddush, because it's really, he only said that the schus of the payers. So I wouldn't think that the schus of the payers, it's not karka. So that's the chiddush, that it's like karka that it goes down to the next one. We didn't get to it yet. Huh? So the schus and payers are gains to the kinder eichet. It's a geisei chiddush. So he's going to tell you how, because he's really kind of the karka on which the payers can grow in the future. So as long as the sada, he tells him, as long as you're the owner of the sada, I get the Ma'aserishin. What happened? Mechara, this yid sold it to another person. The lekechat fakei fatzveiten, and then mechazel lekach, and then he bought it back again. So now does he get back the schusim? Ain't lo yalav kum. Zok the Rashbam, he has no schusim because it's like he's buying. It's like a stranger buying it. It has nothing to do.
But the lady sold it, but he sold it with this condition, though.
He sold it with the condition as long as you own it.
Is that what he said?
Yes. He sold it. He said, "Kol's man shasada zu beyadcha."
No, he said as long as
Kol's man shasada zu beyadcha. Yeah, but the Kol's man shasada zu beyadcha. Then it's going to be yours. That was the condition. So the Rashbam says, "Mashmois of this time, she'ina moich mishai latzvos." Only if it's nimtzas b'yad hakoina shalem yekaychay. No, we're talking about.
He said the Ma'aser's mind doesn't matter. It's all
Right. No, it's not talking about that. So v'kiven shemacha lekecha rishon la'achei. I'm reading the Rashbam. Since he already sold it to another one, now once he sold it, the ganze schus is verloren geworden. He has no more any schus in it. Was, but it once it was sold. When the second lekeach sells it to the rishon, that's a different meicha. It's like he sold his other to others. He's zeicher in whatever the second lekeach was zeicher, the meicha who buys it back, even though it's the original meicha, he gets all those chusim of that lekeach. There was a hefsek. He will pluck his chusay.
There's a hefsek of Mizman. As long as the guy, the second buyer, has it, doesn't have to give Ma'aserishin to him.
So right. So once the second buyer, and he gets the chusim of the second buyer when he buys it back. In fact, how could you say that the paytas that in the future is going that's going to grow? He has to give it to him. He's makna to him. Another makna. How could he be makna something that doesn't exist? It's not here in this world yet. Since he sold him al tanai, that the Ma'aserishin it should belong to him. For sure, he should be mekayim these words. And she'in adam mitzi dava levatala, it says, or dvarav levatala. A person doesn't say words in vain. Well, das came moches asada. So we have to say that Rashbam says al das came when he said these extra words. He meant to sell the field. He's selling the field in which will carry that kind of ma'aser for the rest of the field. Even
and to give it back to the first guy.
And he has to give it to the Levi.
Not that he meant, but that's the din.
The din is because he said words, and these words were really dvarim b'teilim, and he wouldn't say dvarim b'teilim. So he has to ein other might see dvarim levatala. So it must be he meant the karka that could grow a ma'aser, enough ma'aserishin for the whole field that would go to the Levi. That karka he left for himself. That the meicha left for himself when he sold him. He sold a chelik in the karka
That should be
that upon which the Pedus of Maisa will grow. That's what he sold him. And since the karka is here, so he was zeicha. It's not a davar shaloi b'layom.
But the care sold again the.
No, that was a previous case. He's asking lechatchila, how was he able to retain the Maisa Rishon for himself if the Maisa Rishon is totally in the Pedus that was with boxing and the Pedus are not here? So it's a davar shaloi b'layom.
Property is like you own the
Oh,
virus.
so he says when he since ain't other mitzvah, so it sure has to be. He meant more than that. He meant that the meichem retained the chelik of karka upon which the pedus will grow on. That's what he meant. The pedus of mice will grow on, and since the karka is found in this world, for sure, that's what he retained for himself. He was able to do it.
He wanted to make sure that he would be able to get the Maisa.
Yeah. This is the Chiddush. Meaning, from this Baraisa, we learn out that any T'nai by a sale, right, it won't help only if the Meicha said extra words. We'll get to it. When a person says extra words, he gets extras, koyach. He doesn't just get the paytas, he gets more than the paytas. He gets the karka, like we said over here. So he brings you a raya that he says, from this brayso we can learn for another din. By somebody who sells a house to his friend, and he says, this house is sold to you, Amanashet the Yuta al Yena, on the condition that the roof of the house, which has walls of 10 tefachim around it, should belong to me. The Meich is retaining that rooftop.
What's the type Yuta?
The Yuta is the Gag Habayis, the roof of the house. But it's talking about not a roof of the house. It had mechitzas of a gate of 10 tefachim high around it.
Was it taking the bait of them?
Yeah. So he says on the condition, that stays with me. I'm selling you the house, but not the rooftop. The Yuta Yena Shalai. The Yuta Yena is his. We said that in the Mishnah. Why does he have to say this condition? In the Mishnah it says, if somebody sells a house and he has another chashva piece in the house, like the rooftop, which has mechitzas on its own, which is a different tashmish, he uses it to store things or whatever he has, a rooftop to cool off, whatever it is, but it's not the dwelling of the house, that's not being sold. It's not part of the sale. So why did he have to say these extra words? That he's retaining. He says, Amanashe de Yuta al Yena Shali. He didn't have to say it.
What should you say?
Like a
He
penthouse.
says that I'm selling you the house, and that's enough.
That's it.
Automatically, the rooftop belongs to me. I'm not. When I sell you my house, I'm not selling you the rooftop. It's a different tashmish. That's what the Mishnah said.
But usually in my house, I like to have the penthouse.
So the penthouse, okay, because it's a different usage.
So what does he do? He sleeps on the roof.
It's for cooling off. He can use it.
How does he get
Well, a
to
lot
the
of
roof?
people use it for
How
Sheva
do you
Brachas.
get to the roof?
Mati Lakshin, my cousin, he rents off his rooftop for Sheva Brachas. Beautiful over there on the rooftop. So, yeah, there's a gorgeous shetach, and he made with glass all around
Where's that?
Oh, I know that.
on the Taj of 5
Oh yeah,
days.
he once made a party. He invited me with his July 4th party.
Okay, but he rented out to other people. The other Sheva, I don't know if he gave it to friends to make Sheva Brachas there. Okay, so Yimada Mlawai Hilchasa. Leading what halacha was a shlakish telling you about this extra t'nai? Why did he have to say? And Almanas, I'm keeping the yot. It goes without saying. If I say I'm selling you the house, I'm not selling you the rooftop. Why do you have to say Almanas? The
It's like
rooftop
I'm
is
selling
mine.
you the apartment.
The apartment, not the rooftop. Right, not the rooftop. The rooftop is
He
mine.
sells the house, probably goes together.
No, he had to pay extra for the rooftop. By the way, a lot more. So the Yimada Rav Zvid Omar. Rav Zvid said, Shim Ratzel Lohitzi Ba Zizit Moitzi. That means he owns the rooftop, and when he had the rooftop and the house together, he had the chutzah. When he sold him the house, he sold him together with the chutzah. But when he had the rooftop, he had a ledge going over the ear of the chutzah, or he had even a balcony going over. So when he said Amanas, these extra words, he meant to say that not only am I keeping the porch, that goes without saying. But the reason why I said the extra words to tell you that those chusim that I had in the ear rights of the chutzah, I'm keeping.
It's also mine.
The ledge, it's also mine, or the balcony is also mine. Papa says, Shim Ratza Livnas Aliyah Al Gaba, that if the rooftop would have fell in or broke and he'd have to do over the rooftop. So normally I would say, no, he lost it. He can't build on his roof anymore. That's it. The rooftop is gone and he can't rebuild it.
He can't build on top of his apartment.
No
on
more.
top of the
Right.
house.
As long as it's there, it's fine. But if it falls apart, he can't.
He said he could.
But now that he said these extra words, Almanas, he meant to say that even if it falls, I have the right to rebuild it. Al Gaba Baina, that he can rebuild it on top. Again, Papa Amar, She'im, meaning if the Yota fell down, V'ratza Livnes Aliyah, and he wants to rebuild the Yuta, the porch, Al Gaba on top of the house, Baina, he can build it. So you see, so again, so that's what he's saying over here. So Zakti Marabishlim, that's the Chiddush of Zeis HaMeres. Zeis HaMeres is telling you that when he was Kaina, the Yuta, Zeis HaMeres means, the Mishnah kommt uns losen her nach Chiddush. So Zeis HaMeres is like something novel, something new. And here it's talking something new because he's not only kind of the
And
push.
Shlokish used the word Zeis HaMeres.
Yeah.
So why do you say
What's the chiddush here?
This comes to
The
tell
chiddush
you
is coming to tell you as was that Nish know that he was koina the rooftop, but also the ledge in the Abba Chotzi is koina. So that's a great chiddush. That we wouldn't know on our own that he's koina more than what he said. He only said the Yuta, but he's not only koina the Yuta, he's koina the ledge and the Abba of the Chotzi. So, and this is very similar to the case where he says, Abanas, that I'm going to be kinda the Maisa Sheni of the future. So we say, when he said those extra words, not only is he kinda the Petis, he was kinda the Karka upon which the Petis is going to grow. So that's similar. But Eli Papa, only according to Papa, Maisa Semeres, what's what Chiddush is? That he can rebuild the porch. He says that we know from that if you say extra words, you have a stronger koyach. If it's the same thing, like he said, Elaine, well, we just had the Gemara. If he said Elim Etzara, he gave a Hakdama. These are the Gevulim, and then he says the Gevulim. So then we were meyap the koyach of the loikeach.
Because he kept the
Because he
ear
said-
rights. He had the ear rights to-
So he gave him extra words. Here also we're meyap a koyach. The same thing that he got. It's no chiddush. We know everywhere, wherever you say extra words. The minimum you get, what's the minimum? You get the diyuta back, that you can build up the diyuta. That's not such a chiddush. The chiddush of Rav Zvid is like a chiddush. You're not only getting the diyuta, but you're getting also in the ear rights of the chotzer.
Because what was the last name of Rav Shlokish? They said, "Hamoich Avelu, Shedut El Yoyin Shuli."
Okay, so that's the chiddush. So it's akasha. What's the Zeis HaMeres? My Zeis HaMeres is getting the same the yuta that he can rebuild. It's not that we already know from so many other cases that when you say extra words, you have such a yipur koyach. It's nicht kein Geist nice. Kasha. It's not good kasha. Look, but I'm Rav Dibn Nado. Rav Dibn Nado had said, "Hi man, the mezamen lebeisel lechavrei." This person who sells his house to his friend and he wants to be makna to him, also the bird and the dus. The bird is the pit and the cistern in the karka, in the house. Afagav the kosev lei kaveruma. Even though he said, "I'm selling you the depth of the house and the height of the house," it's still not koina the bird and the dus, because it's a different ishtamshus. Yeah, tzarich lemichtele. He has to write him in the shtar. Kni loch mitahim arav ad rum rakia. You should be koina, not just the ground, the depth of the ground, the time till the height of the shemayim. So you might have my time. What's the reason that he has to write umka? What's the reason that he has to write mitay? Because the umka means that you only get he's getting the kark of the bias. That no, if he only sold him the house, he wouldn't be able to dig under the house, this owner of the house, because he didn't sell him the umka of the house, the kark of the house.
So who's that belong to?
That will belong to the meicha.
What's he gonna do? How's he get underneath the house?
He'll figure it out. They'll make a tunnel. Well, yeah, the ruma and the height of the house. That means he's selling him the air rights right? The airites that is on top of the house till the heaven, so he can build another floor. Yeah. So the gag that's on top of it, he's selling that airites. If not, he can build it himself. Okay, the moicha would be able to build it himself as long as he's not harming the house. So but if he wouldn't have said umka and ruma, he wouldn't be able to. That's not included. The karka of the house is not included for him to be able to use the karka to dig, and the ava of the height of the house is not cleaner. So honey umka.
What does the Micah do with the air rights?
He could build on top of the roof.
On top of the house.
On the top of the house, yes.
Extension.
Ahani umkaveruma, lemikna umkaveruma. What the writing, the word umkaveruma, the depth and the height helps him to be kind of the karka, which is under the house, and the airites that's on top of the house. So since there's a need to write umkaveruma, right? So we don't. He wasn't. It's not extra words. So for him to be kind of the bird and the cistern, that's a whole different usage. You have to specify. But when he writes from the depth of the earth till the height of the rakia, that's to be already. He's adding to him to be kind of the pit, the cistern, and the mechila and the tunnels. Mechilas are the tunnels. Let us bring a raya that's taka the halacha that you have to write umka in order to be kaina the karka and above, and for the cistern you have to add the words time because it says by somebody who was meicha by Islam he wasn't makna him the bay and the dus afa pisha kasavloi umka even though he wrote the words umka he wasn't kaina the bird, the pit and the cistern. He didn't say to him. But he said, even though he wrote kaveruma, it's not going to help him to be kind of the bayvedus. If it's going to enter your mind that even when I sell your house, stop without saying kaveruma, it includes lahani. It helps. I'm sorry. It helps me be kind of the karka and above the house. So the words kaveruma is extra. Because even when I'm meicha by Islam, if I would say you're kind of the karka under it, so there was no need to write kaveruma. So lahani kaveruma lemikre vedus mechiles. So kaveruma would have been by writing kaveruma that would have been extra words. If he's kind of when he says meicha by Islam, without saying kaveruma, he's kind of the karka. So if he does write kaveruma, it's extra words. So maybe it should include by vedus. So he says there's a raya that you need to write kaveruma to be kind of the karka. It's not extra. Amecha by Islam, you're not kind of the karka on that, unless you write kaveruma. So kaveruma is not extra. So it's not including by vidus unless you write toing. So it's a raya. So you want to know that you're not kind of the by vidus even after you wrote kaveruma. In fact, you want to know the like cause. 1 second. So the Gemara says the loy kasale. The Mishnah is not talking about he wrote kaveruma. You're assuming that he wrote kaveruma, right? And only because he wrote kaveruma, he was kind of the karka beneath it. It's not, and therefore he was not kind of automatically the bird vidus. Says the Gemara, no, it's talking about he never wrote kaveruma, and he is kind of the karka on it. And in fact, it says even though he did write kaveruma. That's what it says in the Mishnah. It says in the Mishnah Mefedish that Alpha Pisha Kasav Layum Kavaruma. How could you say it's talking about he didn't write it? So he says Hachikama. This is how you have to learn the pshat. Alpha Pisha Loy Kasav Loy. Even though he didn't write to him, Kavaruma Kimisha Kasav Damili. It's as if he did write Kavaruma Lemikna Kavaruma to be kinda the karka under the house. But to be kinda the bird and the cistern and the tunnels is the kasavlei kaveruma. If he would have written the words kaveruma, then it would be extra, because even without kaveruma, it's as if it's written kaveruma. But if he actually writes Kibiruma, which is extra, Kani, he would be kind of the pit and the cistern and the tunnels. He like Kasa, but if he wouldn't write Kibiruma, so then he's only kind of the karket. So only as if he wrote Kibiruma and like Kani, but he's not going to be kind of the Bay Vedus because he didn't actually write extra words. But if he would have written extra words Kibiruma, then he would have been kind of the Bay Vedus.